Everyone, welcome into another edition of No Holds Barred. Rob Wong and Postmedia wrestling writer Jan Murphy with you as always. And we are reunited with one of our favorites, WWE Superstar Nattie Neidhart, who's been extremely busy over the last couple of weeks. So much to talk about with you. Nattie, your match against Becky Lynch. You were at Triple Mania, your Lou Thesz Award at the Cauliflower Alley Club, and of course your upcoming book. And that's where I wanted to start. The Last Hart Beating, now available for pre-order. It dropping officially on October 28th. I know you spoke to us about it a little bit earlier this year when you made the announcement, and you wrote about it in the Toronto Sun recently. But I'm curious, now that we're about 2 months away from the official release, what are you most excited about when it comes to this book?
Oh, I started reading it again because of a project that I'm working on that am like not allowed to share just yet. But when I am, you guys are gonna be the first to know. But I started reading it again for this project that I'm working on, and I was in the studio yesterday, and I was just like, I went in between laughing really really hard and like crying really hard, and that's kind of what I love about the book, amongst other things, is that it's just so it's like the ultimate backstage pass, in WWE, but it's not exploitive. It's not mean. It's not meant to hurt anyone. Bianca Belair, she's read my book, and she read it in 2 days. And she was like, I couldn't wait to get to the next chapter. I just wanted to get to the next chapter. And she's like, when I got done with it, she said that it was like a healing. She felt like it was a very healing. It was a tool for healing, and she's like, I needed this book. And so I loved when she said that, because once I was like, yesterday I was reading it, and I was just like, wow, I really needed to cry. Like I just wanted to cry. And I told the people that were in the studio with me, I was like, I just give me a minute. And so when I was writing the book, when I was putting the words down on paper, I didn't cry at that point. Like the part that I cried about yesterday, I didn't cry when I wrote it. But then when I read it yesterday, for whatever reason, it just like hit me really hard. And so I want people to feel so much when they read this book. I want them to feel happy. I want them to feel like I want them to feel it's super relatable. Even if you've never watched wrestling, it's super relatable. But if you have watched wrestling, or if you have worked in WWE, or if you worked in the industry, or you love this, it's gonna hit home for a lot of people. And it's so crazy that people just don't know my story, and I'm so excited to be able to share it with them, because so many people, even like, it's funny because TJ, he read my book. I gave him a read. I let him read it about a month ago. I wanted to really be done with it before I let him read it. And so before he read it, he's like, oh, I already know your story. And he's like, but I'll read it. And then when he read it, he's like, oh wow, I never even like he didn't realize the perspective that I had until he read the book. He said to me, he goes, I just didn't want it to end. He's like, I just wanted to keep reading. I wanted it to keep going. He's like, it was like a movie that I didn't want it to end. I didn't want to get like a great series, or you know how we binge watch shows. He's like, I didn't want it to end. And so those were just some, granted, TJ, I love him, and he's not allowed to say anything mean about me. But he's also very honest. He's been one of the most brutally honest people about my career, and things that he's liked, things that he's hated, things I should do different. So he's one of he's one of those people that I need in my life to tell me the truth. But a couple of the girls at work have read it. Liv Morgan has read it. Liv Morgan actually was reading it on a plane, and I was sitting next to Rhea Ripley on the flight, and Liv was behind me. This is months ago, before Liv was injured. But she was reading a chapter, and it's a story about a road trip that I had with the great Khali. And it was his story is hilarious. It's hysterical. And she was crying behind me, like with tears of laughter. And Rhea and I both turned around, and we were like, what? Like, and she like I turned around, she had like actual tears coming down her cheeks. She's like, this was wild, wild. So I love Kali. He's a good friend of mine, but we had a crazy, crazy road trip together that was just like, I wanted to body slam him.
Roddy, I'm not sure you may have seen my post, but this past weekend I spent a little bit of time with Margaret Atwood, the arguably the greatest Canadian author in history, and I had the fortunate experience of watching her do a Q&A, and during that Q&A, it was asked of her, when she reads her books, when she finishes her books, would she go back and change anything, or are there any regrets she's ever had? And what caught me most was her answer to the question was, the book doesn't belong to me once it's published. It belongs to
Wow.
the people who read it, and to the people who who publish it and read it, and to people who read it in the future.
Oh, that's powerful. That's so powerful because that's everybody's interpretation of my book is going to be different. And the biggest thing the biggest takeaway that I'm getting from the book and people that are reading it is that it's healing. They're like, this is so healing. It's so therapeutic. It's so what I needed. It's like a handbook, of survival, not just in wrestling, but just in life. And I keep saying to myself, because I want everyone to dream big dreams. I want to have big dreams. I want you guys to have big dreams. Dreams are important no matter what age you are. Dreams are extremely important. And it's important to have a purpose. And when I when I was reading it yesterday in this studio, I was like, why can't I? Why can't, like, when I first decided to write a book, I was like, why can't I? Like, when it comes to winning a championship in WWE, why can't I? Why not me? And it's like, I want everybody to actually ask themselves that while they're reading my book. I want them to actually challenge themselves with their own dreams, with their own aspirations, and say, why not me? Why can't I? Why can't I do all of these things? Like, who's saying no? Like, the people that have the courage to dream it, those are the ones that get to do it. And so for a long time, I put off writing a book. I was like, I don't know. I don't want to, like, piss people off. I don't want to bury anyone. I don't want somebody to be mad at me. I don't want to. And Bret Hart gave me the best advice. He said, Bret, and I'll never forget it, which is why Bret is doing the introduction to my book. So the very first words that you're going to read are from Bret. I want him to do the introduction to me is so important. It's more important than the forward, because the introduction, it's the first glimpse at my story. And he understands and captured my story better than anybody could have imagined, including myself. He said to me, he goes, you have to write the book for you. Write it for you, and don't write it for anyone else. Don't worry about who's going to like it, who's going to hate it, who's going to think this or that of it. Just write it for you, and you can't go wrong. But to what you were saying about Margaret Atwood, then once it's done being written, it's in the hearts of the reader. I don't see anybody not loving the book, even the people that were challenging to write about, because there's very polarizing characters in the book. Um, that were challenging for me to write about, including my dad. He was a challenging character to write about, person to write about in my life, because we had a very complicated relationship. Yet I loved him more than I loved anybody else in my life. But we just had a very complex relationship. And so that goes for several characters that are in the book, um, like Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is somebody that, like, we I wouldn't have anything today without wrestling. And he created so many massive moments for my family to have what we have. My whole family got to live their wildest dreams because of Vince. But also, like, Vince, he's a complex character. I very much look at him similar to my dad, in the sense that, because Vince was a father, he was like a father figure to me in so many ways. And for some of the biggest, most pivotal moments in my life, he was there, including the day that my dad died. So, but here's the thing. He's not perfect, nor am I, nor is my dad. So I like being able to share these really beautiful stories and complicated stories and deep stories that are going to give people a different insight of things that I've never shared before, and that were hard to share. Especially the stuff with my dad that, like, when I'm reading it back, I'm just like crying, because I'm like, man, like, I just can't believe that happened. And I can't believe we lived through that. And I can't believe I made it out on the other side. But yes, I hope it's a handbook for other people in healing. And also, you're going to laugh your ass off when you read it. You're going to laugh so much.
Well, I feel like I know you, and I can't wait to read it.
It's really special, really, really special. And you guys are gonna. Now, that's the thing, is that not everybody's a reader. So, people might like the other version that I'm doing of it. Again, can't announce it, but um, but there's a lot of really cool things that are coming from it. There's two major projects that I'm working on that are kind of extensions of my book.
All right. Well, we'll talk about those when you officially announce them. But like Jan said, can't wait to read this book when it drops on October the 28th. So, talking about what you've been up to as well, I mentioned Becky Lynch. I mentioned Triple Mania. Let's start with Becky Lynch. And you had that great match with her on Monday Night Raw. And to me, it's starting to feel a little nostalgic here. You're wrestling Becky, Nikki Bella's back. And of course, they're going to square off at Clash in Paris. What has this sort of been like, this recent I guess, gathering, if you want to put it that way, where everybody sort of come back together here and sort of turn back the clock a little bit? What's it been like behind the scenes for you?
I mean, I think, the girls, Becky and Nikki, their story is one of the most compelling stories on Raw right now. And the thing with Nikki, there's a lot of power in Nikki. Nikki Bella, whether people like her or don't like her, because she can be polarizing, and that's the thing about fame. The thing about fame is that, like, people are either going to love you or they're going to hate you, but they're going to watch you. And so we've been seeing with Nikki, she's been knocking these numbers out of the park. Her stuff, her merchandise is selling out. Her social media posts with WWE, they're doing like the highest numbers on the show. Their segments are doing the highest rate. Like, the girls last week were one of the highest rated, I think the highest rated thing on the show. So, and that was a stacked show. So it's cool because I think Nikki is really bringing something fun and fresh to the table. And I love that because I started with Nikki and Bree in FCW when they were just two models that used to play soccer that came in and nobody knew who they were or what they did or what they were going to bring to the table. The thing with Nikki is that she has a fire in her that can't be put out, and she brings an incredible amount of equity to WWE, and that equity takes years, if not decades, to build. And so fans are interested. Fans, I mean, even just her promos, like, I feel like she's doing some of the best promo work of her career. And I will say, I will give credit where credit is due. Becky, in promo segments, Becky really does bring the best out in her opponent as far as like making them rise, making them step up, making them match her on the microphone. Because Becky does Becky is one of the best promos for women or men, I think, in WWE. She's phenomenal on the mic. But Nikki, the thing that I love about their feud is that Becky keeps trying to, hit these low blows on Nikki. She keeps bringing up Nikki's past. She, of course, wanted to throw the jab in there, 2, 3 weeks ago at the Barclays Center when she brought up, like, you can't see, oh, I know what happened to your last relationship. You can't see me. Everybody knew what that was about. It was Becky's way of hitting a low blow on Nikki. But the thing with Nikki is that she's already been hurt so much in her life, things that she's never even discussed, that you can't hurt her anymore. All she's going to do, and I know this because she's one of my closest friends, all Nikki is going to do is let that drive her, let that fuel her, let that make her rise to the occasion. And so I can't wait to see Becky, the bully, get punched right in the nose, right where she deserves to get punched.
No, look, I think it's just cool. Like, you're talking about Nikki and the passion that she has, and she obviously has been away for a bit, and sporadically has made some appearances here or there. I know Jan and I got a chance to talk to Chelsea Green a couple of weeks ago, and she was just talking about how much Nikki has sort of embraced, sort of the new people that are around, and maybe people that she didn't know previously, and she wants to be around with the girls and be a part of it. She doesn't want it. She knows she's Nikki Bella, and she's got all that stuff outside, but when she's in WWE, she wants to make sure that she's a part of everyone just as much as they are part of it as well.
Nattie,
she's very, very down to earth. Sorry, Jam. What?
I was just wondering how difficult it is for you to toggle between Nattie and Natalya right now, because you've got both happening. You were Natalya on Raw for coming out in a match. It's been a while since we've seen you in a feature match, but are you struggling at all with that?
It's funny because when I look at Natalya, I am so proud of what she has done. I mean, Natalia is no slouch. She has many world records, as we all know, for outworking everyone. I mean, and I'm not trying to be arrogant when I talk about Natalia, but she's had almost 2,000 matches. So in WWE at the highest level, which is WWE, and like, I've I've been a part of the most WrestleManias. I've had the most pay-per-views. I've done the most matches on Raw, or done the most matches on SmackDown. Just done so much, and they haven't been bad. I can't go back in my career and go, oh my god, I was so embarrassed that I had a match like that. Like, I've been so proud of my body of work, from being the first woman to wrestle in Saudi Arabia, to winning the tag team championships with Tamina Snuka, to being the first woman to have 2 matches at WrestleMania. Like, there's just, I'm very, very proud of Natalia, and I think she's done so much. But here's my thing with Natalia. We've seen her. We've seen her for 18 and a half years. So that's the thing about my character, is that Natalia and Natty, there's a lot of blurred lines, a lot of blurred lines. And I think a lot of inspiration for that is that, like, I think a lot of us are living lives of 2 different people. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. And I look at, like, even some of the stuff that Bailey's been doing, and it's like she's got a very wide range of people. That I remember when I first met Bailey, she was like the hugger, but like, over time, people do have to evolve and let certain parts of their characters go, let certain parts of their character die. And so for me, it's like, what I love about Natty is that Natty has the IQ of an 18 and a half year WWE veteran, but she's got the hunger, the drive, and the ability and the desire of a first year rookie. So that's where she's different than anyone else in the division, is that she's got this crazy IQ of an 18 and a half year WWE veteran, but she's just, like, to me, and again, I'm not being arrogant, I'm just speaking from my heart. I would like to see somebody else. I would like to see another woman in our division after 18 and a half years of safe, stable, steady, paycheck comes in every week, you feel safe, stable, steady, take a chance on herself, 18 and a half years in, to do something totally different and reinvent. And not only reinvent, but hit a home run out of the park. And I hit a home run in my first Bloodsport. I hit home run in NWA. I hit a home run in Reality of Wrestling. And I've hit home runs in AAA. It's not a fluke. Wrestling Masha Slamovich, and we main evented Bloodsport during SummerSlam. It's not a fluke. It's not a fluke. It's not like, oh, she had a good match there. No, every match that I bring to the table as Natty, I'm treating it like it's WrestleMania. And that's the same hunger and drive and desire that I want to see in every single woman in our division. That's going to be what makes us the best women's division in the world, which I believe we have. WWE, from NXT to Raw to SmackDown, we've got some of the most talented female wrestlers on the planet working with us. But I expect all of them to bring that same drive, that same desire of a first year rookie, if they're going to hang with Natty.
Just an observation, but it might be, you might have to go back to Mick Foley to find someone who was playing 2 different characters at the same time.
Mick is, when you look at Mick as Mick Foley, and then he was Cactus Jack outside of WWE. It's been very cool to, like, Mick is an inspiration for a lot of us. But even when I think of, another inspiration is Bret Hart. When he was in Canada, he was the
Yeah.
babyface. When he was in the United States, he was the bad guy. So Bret is also, like, it's cool because it shows a range, it shows a diversity, but it also is because I love this. And I do believe very much that everybody needs to keep evolving. If you want to stay relevant in this business and you want to be able to hang in this business, you got to keep evolving. You got to grow. You cannot stay still. You cannot be complacent. You cannot expect people to hand you opportunities. But with that being said, and I do really mean this with all of my heart, I would not be able to create Natty in these promotions outside WWE without the blessing of WWE, which this entire time, since the very first Bloodsport, WWE has been extremely supportive of me. And so for that, I am so grateful. Like, and I don't take that for granted. So while I've been allowed to create and invent and feel this new spark of life, I've also been given the permission to do it, which, like, it's just, to me, I'm very, very grateful for that. Very grateful.
Well, let's hope you get a little bit more permission, and we can see Nattie show up on WWE TV. Last one before we let you go, as I mentioned, it was a super busy month for you, capped off by the Lou Thesz Award at the Cauliflower Alley Club. What was that whole experience like? And take us through that day.
Well, that, I found out from Brian Blair, who's, a big part of their program with Cauliflower Alley. I believe he's their president, but don't quote me on that. I have to look and see what the particulars are. But he said we raised over $40,000 at that single event.
Amazing.
I did a signing and, like, just signed for like several hours. Like, their all proceeds went to Cauliflower Alley Club. And what they do, last year alone, they gave $100,000+ to wrestlers in need. They don't publicly share who the wrestlers are, but there's a lot of wrestlers out there that are struggling, that that need help. So privately, they donated over $100,000 last year to people that needed help that are in the wrestling business. This year we raised $40,000, and this year I was honored to get the Lou Thesz Award. Lou is somebody that actually worked for my grandfather. So there's a personal connection there. My grandfather loved Cauliflower Alley. He never missed a Cauliflower Alley reunion. So it was very, very special to him. But getting this award, it's funny because, like, the table that I sat at, I was sitting with Dr. Tom Pritchard. And so when I first got called from Brian Blair asking, like, hey, we really want to give you this award, this Lou Thesz Award, the first person I called to ask if they could be my guest, TJ, I apologize, I love you dearly, but it was Dr. Tom Pritchard. I said, Dr. Tom, I'm getting this award, and I really, really want you to be my guest. And in my mind, I was like, I'm going to fly him in and I want him there. And, like, because Dr. Tom was such an important part of my start in WWE. And I really wanted to do something special for him. And then he said to me, he goes, Nattie, they just called me and I'm getting the Trainer of the Year award.
Wow.
So we sat at the same table and I was like, damn, like, I felt like it was destiny, so we sat at the same table, and he got an award, and he gave a beautiful speech. His brother Bruce inducted him, or presented to him. And then TJ, I really wanted TJ to, because Brian asked me, he goes, we want you to pick somebody to present you with the award. And so I was like, there's nobody that's been on this journey with me more than TJ. So I really wanted TJ to present it to me. Plus, I also love when TJ tells me that I'm great and I'm smart and I'm pretty and I'm funny and I'm amazing. And, but he was so sweet, and it was so nice. So it was just really cool. It was really, really cool because it felt like, for me, and I promise I'll stop babbling on, but for me, growing up in a family full of legends, from my grandfather Stu to my dad to Davey and Dynamite and Brian Pillman and um, Brett and Owen, like, just the whole family. Like, there's such a long list of people that my family, but also people that trained with my family, from Gorilla Monsoon, who trained in the dungeon, to Greg Valentine, to Jake Roberts, to Jushin Thunder Liger. The list goes on and on. Um, to grow up in a family of legends and to be a girl feeling like, I don't know, like, if I belong in this world, it's not a place for women, to all of a sudden being considered amongst those people in that room at Cauliflower Alley as, like, a legend. And I was like, man, I grew up with legends, and now here I am, like, a part of all of it, considered one of them. It was a full circle moment, and I felt like my grandfather Stu I felt like he was just really with me. And I'm just, like, so grateful for everything that I have because of wrestling. Like, everything in my life, my family has, everything in my life I have because of wrestling, but everything my family has is because of wrestling. So there's just an immense amount of gratitude for what the industry has given us. And so that's why it's always my goal to try to just do well, be good, and give back as much as I can.
You were the first woman to win that award, correct?
Yes, I was the first
Big
woman to
deal.
win it.
That's a big, big deal.
It was a very big deal. And the thing with the Cauliflower Alley is that I was selected by my peers to win it. So it's like a committee of wrestlers that pick who wins it. So it was just really, really special to get it. And I was nervous even just giving the speech. I was like I just felt really nervous in a room full of like it's not just like you're performing in front of fans. You're performing in front of like legends, you know, and then Jazz was there, she was getting an award. Um Luke was getting an award on behalf of the Bushwhackers, sorry, and you know, Dr. Tom was getting an award. There was just so many legends that were there. So it was just that was just to name a few of them, but like Mick Foley was there. It was just very, very special, very, very cool, and something that, like, again, I don't take it for granted. Actually, I have the award. Hold on one
Oh,
second.
wow.
Here it is, it's right
Very,
behind
very
me.
deserved.
Amazing.
Isn't that cool?
That's so cool.
So I love it. It's just so special to me. So now I'm like really excited to champion what Cauliflower Alley is because next year I'm like I really want to be there. I really want to be involved because it's cool to honor legends, but it's also even cooler for us to raise money and to have people part of Cauliflower Alley Club because we're raising money for people that, like, again, they don't share the names of people, but there was a wrestler that hit really, really hard times and that needed some medical help. Cauliflower Alley helped out. They gave them a lot of money for some medical expenses that this person would never have had the resources for. And they do it in a very unsung way. They don't tell everybody that they're giving all this money away, but now I'm going to sing about it because, you know, it's just like they do it very privately and they have, you know, really amazing people that love the industry that are donating money. My whole signing, we donated all the money for my signing to the charity. I was like, this is, and then Brian told me, he's like, we raised $40,000 at that event from everybody working together to raise money so that when somebody falls on hard times, they don't have to be out on the streets. You know, we can help them. So it's just really cool. I love it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well deserved honor, Natty. You are the low key legend after all, so it fits you perfectly this award. And we love catching up with you as always. Thanks so much for doing this, and we'll talk to you soon.